This is Tyler Hansbrough, and you're listening to Locked On Tar Heels.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Each Monday morning during the season, there is an ACC coaches call where you get the different coaches from the league, 9-10 minutes, and they're, asked 3, 4, 5 questions by the media. Coach Davis was asked multiple things, some of what we talked about with the lineup, about NC State from our guy, Michael Coe. And then a young lady named Caroline Wells asked Coach Davis, what about your experience the last few years on the job has led you to want to pursue someone for the general manager role, right? We got Coach Davis mentioning that a couple weeks ago on the radio show with Jones Angel, where he said, hey, this is where we're going to go. And here was Coach Davis's response that has everyone very big, mad, and concerned. Coach Davis said, and I'm going to give the same pacing he did because he had multiple pauses. He was clearly trying to be careful with his words, as I just was, thoughtful about what he was saying. He says, yeah, I'm going to stay away from these comments in regards, to a GM. And again, I'm quoting here, like any that I'm giving you or pauses are from Coach Davis. I feel like, pause, over the last couple of weeks or 2.5 weeks, in response to my answer to a question on the radio show, it's pause, been twisted, pause, in regards to supporting different narratives. And my focus right now is this team and coaching this team and try to reach our full potential and try to become the best that we can become this season. Really interesting. And that's the end of the quote, by the way. Really interesting how Coach Davis kind of found what he wanted to say there at the end and finished it out strongly. It was clear that he was really processing what he wanted to say there. So as not to come off as being a tool or say negative things, but he wanted to make sure to say the right thing. Now, because of this, we talked a lot about this in the Locked On Tar Heels Discord on Monday. I had a DM on Twitter from Brandon Mayberry, who he and I carry on a lot of conversations on Twitter about the Tar Heels. So a lot of people just reaching out and saying, wait, is he reneging on this? Are we not going to hire a GM? What's going on? Right? Because that's what this kind of sounds like, where he's saying, I'm going to stay away from these comments in regards to a GM. I feel like there's been a lot raised and twisted and a lot of narratives. And my focus is on this team and coaching this team to try to reach our full potential to become the best team that we can this season. So on the Discord, what Will Hager said this, quote, I mean, at this point, if coach doesn't hire a GM this offseason, then I don't think he will be coaching next season, short of making a Final Four run this March. Maybe a sign that the program is waiting to hire someone until they know more about if they are keeping Coach Davis one more year, or third, just things are still moving forward, but more slowly than we might want, end quote. And so I appreciated this from Will, is why I wanted to share it, because it's like 3 different possibilities, right? Like, is Coach Davis reneging and they're not actually going to hire a GM? Or maybe it's a sign that the program is waiting to see what happens this year before they decide about Coach Davis, before they decide about a GM. Or third, maybe just things are happening and it's going slow and we're not seeing it. I would line up more specifically my belief. I'm reading between the lines of what Coach Davis is saying, but I literally do that for a living, right? And so I've learned to read between the lines of what he says. And my belief is that that third option is what he's doing. Some version of here's how I would say what Coach Davis is saying with a little more transparency and honesty. Wow, y'all took this and ran with it way more than I expected. We're going to get to it in due time, and we are working on it behind the scenes. But I don't owe it to you guys to talk about it. And B, I don't want that to distract from the fact that we've still got a season going. And while the season's not going as well as we hoped, it is still going, and we do still have a hope for this season. So I want to focus on that. We'll get to the GM stuff in due time. Subtext, we are hiring a GM. I'm not changing from what I said, but it's not the focus right now. Other things are. I also liked how Van Allen Sizzle Pop, one of my favorite names in our Discord, put it. Quote, like pretending to be Coach Davis, quote, I probably shouldn't have said something midseason to distract from the season still happening, end quote. I loved that. I thought that made a lot of sense. So again, I don't think it's that it's not happening. It's just that it's not the public focus right now. And I think we as fans often feel we're used to some of these programs around the country, just telling everybody everything. And so it's easy for us to think, oh, we're not hearing about it, so it must not be happening. To me, if we're being honest, I think there's a lot of wisdom in holding your cards close to the vest, right? We're going to learn a lot about that, by the way, with Bill Belichick coming in at the helm of Carolina football. This man doesn't share any iota more than you force him to. Why? Because any intel you give gives your opposition intel that they can use against you, and even in some small way. And so I think it's very wise of Coach Davis to just be like, we're done with this for now. We'll get to it, but today's not the day because the season's still going. So I'm reading all of it that way. It's not that it's not happening. It's just that now's not the time to talk about it. And I think he's sorry that he brought it up. Right? So there we go. Do you agree or disagree? Read Coach Davis's comments in full. Tell me what you think about it.